Hi, I'm Jason Inman.
And I'm Ashley Victoria Robinson.
And we're here to review Supergirl, Season 3, Episode 17, Trinity. And if you haven't seen this episode, you might want to come back later, because there will be spoilers!
Still reeling after learning about Lena's secret, Supergirl asks Guardian for a favor that could alter his relationship with Lena forever. Meanwhile, with all the three World Killers united, Supergirl and the team brace for an epic battle.
Alright, we're going to work our way through the good and the bad of this episode, because there were some good stuff in this episode. First off, excuse me, I liked when the Lena Luthor interrogation began off at the beginning of the episode. Especially bringing up a point that we forget sometimes watching Supergirl, that the DEO is a secret, hidden, clandestine organization. And I like that this is like the first time that Lena Luthor has learned about it. And we learned that Lena Luthor also has kryptonite.
Although, like Star Labs, I guess anyone can come into the DEO at any point, and it's fine. I thought Lena was completely badass in this first scene. And her calling out the DEO and addressing the fact that, like, she doesn't owe them anything. She just learned that they existed. Like,
she did it all in her company's building.
Yeah. Like, she didn't technically break any laws.
No.
I thought she was awesome. She was, like, the coolest business lady that she could have been.
She was very Luthor-like.
Oh.
Yeah. Another enjoyable moment was Brainy's monologue about sending Supergirl to the weird dream valley, where he was like, you're going to do this, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. Sounds like fun. That, to me, really came off as Brainiac 5 from the Legion of Superheroes, and I really enjoyed it. And I really feel that the actor
Jesse Rath
has gotten better and better. And I said this during the episode we were watching it. I think not being in the makeup actually has freed him, or else made it less cheesy to watch him.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's freed him up or if it's made us less critical watching him, because he looks fine. He doesn't look like a bad paint job with a wig line. He's making really interesting physical choices too as Brainiac that makes him feel truly more alien. Like, I like the steepling of his fingers that he does. I really enjoyed him through the whole episode, and the Legion truly does not deserve how great he is, because Mon-El and Imra really kind of drag this version of the Legion down.
They do.
I would love to see his Brainy with, like, anybody else representing the Legion.
Well, let's think about this. If this show had brought on, let's say there was no Mon-El in the show.
Sure.
If this show had brought on a Brainy, and let's say we had a Cosmic Boy, or even a Lightning Lad, and then a better actress for Saturn Girl.
Or maybe Triplicate Girl.
Yeah. We would all be clamoring for a Legion of Superheroes spinoff.
And let's be real, like when
I don't want this
Flash was
version.
introduced on Arrow, this is a soft testing for whether or not the Legion's going to go on to something else. I don't think so.
No,
based on their reception, unfortunately.
And the Legion show has sort of been hinted at CW for a long time now. I do not see this version of the Legion being spun off. I don't think anybody has called this version of the Legion their favorite version.
No, but he's a treasure, and I love every time Brainy and Win is kind of shelved for a lot of this episode, but anytime they get to interact, I think is really wonderful.
What'd you like from this episode?
I really liked the expansion of the Kryptonian mythology. We have a walk and talk scene with Supergirl, Lena, and Alex, and she's telling them a little bit more about the Cult of Rao, and not the Cult of Rao, I'm sorry, but like the religion and the mythology as it existed on Krypton, and the three Kryptonian witches that were mentioned.
Yeah, you do a little witch dance or whatever.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder if that's a small reference to Smallville, which had a whole season about witches.
That's true.
It's the season we don't speak of.
Except on our Geek History Lesson podcast. Go listen to our Lana episode.
What else did you like? You like Kryptonian witches?
I did. I liked the.
Or do you just like witches in whole and in general?
I'm pro witch, but I also every time, and this is just something that you bring up. Every time we learn more about Krypton and Kara's life there, I think it's a really fascinating world building. It's something that we don't. It's a bell we don't ring enough on Supergirl. Unfortunately,
we should ring it more. But that's a bell that they should have rang more in season 1. To be honest with you, now that we're in season 3, we're kind of too far away from that.
I firmly believe. I'm so sorry. Please finish.
I was gonna say we're too far away from Kara being like, Earth is weird.
I was going to say that I firmly believe that you could pivot and start giving us more Kryptonian stuff now, and it would be cool.
Sure.
It would be cool. I also really liked when Kara as Supergirl flies into Jimmy's office. We got to see Catco again, which is cool. Catco
we haven't seen it in a while.
Is apparently still functioning, which is great. I do think it's weird that Jimmy has this completely open office, and when Supergirl flies in the window, nobody's like, holy gee,
Supergirl!
It's Supergirl!
Yeah.
Like,
which everybody would.
But I liked her scene where she was appealing to Jimmy for help. I don't like that it brought back Guardian, but I thought it harkened back to their earlier bond and relationship, and it actually gave Jimmy something cool to play.
It also brought up a really interesting point in the writing for Supergirl, I thought, was the fact that Supergirl, we sort of talk about, and this is something that we don't really talk about in Superman comics, and I think it's very interesting that this scene explored it, that kryptonite hurts like hell. And kryptonite is like one of the most painful the idea of this scene is that like kryptonite really hurts. And now that's something that we've always known in every iteration of Superman, but Melissa Benoist really puts a personal bent on it in this scene. And the fact that she can't get over, she reveals this nugget that Lex has been in prison for years. So that if Lena has this kryptonite, she's been holding on to it for a while. And it's kind of the idea that, who you think is your best friend has a loaded gun.
And Jimmy also has a line in the scene where he says Lena isn't Lex, which is interesting because we're so prepping her for the Lex turn.
Yes.
But it's a good line for him.
Yes, and it's so great that when we go to the mysterious dream boring valley of Krypton, and Lena is there, and at one point, Supergirl is like, look, I can't get over it. You have kryptonite. You have something on me. And Lena goes, you don't like secrets. Good. What's your name?
That's my next note.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, we don't credit the Supergirl writers for good writing a lot. And I got to tell you, that is one of the best pieces of dialogue. That's the best dialogue line. That's the best line reading from that actress that I have seen this season.
I will say that if this were not a Rain Sam driven episode, I think it would be a tremendous episode of Supergirl because it's really about building her conflict with Lena, and they're starting to break apart, and like that's compelling watching. And that's a dynamic that we know and we like from classic comic books.
Can I ask you this?
Yes.
Let's go into a weird prediction mode because we don't do predictions on these videos anymore. I kind of feel like Rain is now just going to be the reason why we get the Lena Luthor versus Supergirl. I mean, to me, I would be...
They're getting divorced over Sam. That is what's happening.
Exactly. I would be surprised if we don't do Lena Luthor as the villain next season.
I would be surprised. And I think it would be a mistake, and I think it would be a misuse of a really great actress.
Yeah. So let's back up.
Okay.
Do we think that they should have just cut Rain out of this season and made this season, instead of building up a character we've never met before...
and don't care about.
What if we spent this whole season building Lena to the villain?
Yes.
Like, this is the episode, like, so in our season arc of Lena, this is the episode where Lena turns villain.
Yes. 1,000%.
A much better season, right?
Absolutely, yes. And it's less forcing. Like, this episode, just to dip a little bit into the bad as we're doing this, has a lot of Sam screaming into nothingness about Ruby, and truly... I defy anyone to tell me they cared about this.
Didn't care.
And it did nothing to drive the narrative. It did nothing to drive the character. It's frankly to fill time, and it's not great writing. Whereas if we had seen Lena's descent into madness, if you will,
like the reason why she decides to go against Supergirl.
And you see her emotional break from Supergirl, that's more meaningful because we've spent now 2 full seasons with her instead of 7. Well, Sam hasn't even been in every episode.
15
10
episodes,
maybe?
Well, I would say 12.
I don't know. I'm not counting how many episodes Sam's
Well,
in.
it's interesting because Lena in this episode, just the hint that she has more kryptonite, she came off as more threatening than all 3 of the Kryptonian boring witches as they did their seance in this episode.
I mean, and I know, I don't know their names. I'm not going to bother to learn their names. I know that the African-American witch,
Purity?
had the Black Canary sound effect because we already had that effect, but I truly didn't need her to scream. There's a lot of unnecessary screaming in this episode.
Let's give a shout out to the prop makers. The Black Sunstone prop looked cool.
Yeah, it really, and the way they lit it, which I know is just a fiber cable, but it looked very cool.
I like the idea that Wynn gives Alex a new suit, even though it basically is Saturn Girl's suit without color, and her new gun is not as cool as her old gun.
Even though she says it is.
But, it's cool. But last cool moment for me, we learned that Lena made the kryptonite. So she is making artificial kryptonite, which I also think is a prediction for next season that we're going to get the other colors of kryptonite.
To me, we have the moment, right? We have like the dumb scene where Guardian's breaking in and it doesn't talk about the vault. Like, there's more kryptonite in the vault.
Well, he doesn't open the vault.
It's Chekhov's kryptonite vault. Yep. But the implication that she figured out how to make it, that's not an accident. Like, that
makes her smarter than Lex.
Also super evil. Yeah. I'm here for that.
Yeah. Any other goods before we move to the bad?
I think we did them all.
Okay, first bad in this episode, anytime we see the Fortress of Dust.
I also didn't realize until this episode that every time the actress who plays Rain is Rain, she makes a horse face. Like the whole time,
can you do an
she's
example?
got the mask on and she's there like this.
Oh, yeah, she grits her teeth a lot.
Which I think is supposed to make her look tough, but I was like, you look like a 14-year-old who doesn't want to smile in your picture.
So the main theme of this episode is that the human world killers share a mind space that is the redressed Malice dimension from Legends of Tomorrow.
I'm sorry.
With more trees.
Malice.
So,
don't tweet me.
So they're like the Borg. And we learn...
I don't mind that.
I really
Theoretically, I mind it the way it was executed.
I really mind that because we learn that, we're going to go into this mental space because they're too strong.
But we're not going to take the psychic.
We're not going to take both psychics,
right,
John Jones
and
Emra Saturn Girl. We have two psychics on the team. We take neither one of them.
And just to harp on the John Jones thing, he reveals his identity as a Martian, which you pointed out to Lena, in 20 minutes.
Yep.
Like, Lena doesn't know who he is, and he's just like, well, I'm a Martian. Burp, 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 burp.
There's a lot of...
It's a very Barry Allen Flash moment.
There's a lot of reveals to Lena that they glaze right over. We reveal that there are people from the future. We reveal that there are the Legion. We show Mon-El in his comic book costume to her. I know she knew that he was a crime fighter, and I knew that she knew that he fought with Supergirl, but like this is him in his full superhero dress, like the DEO. There's a lot of things that we glaze over, so I hope we come back to that because Lena gets a lot of stuff. Lena almost gets slapped in the face with a lot of stuff that she should be really mad about.
I do want to tack into the bad as well, even though I like the moment in the line delivery, the fact that Supergirl doesn't wear a mask and Lena Luthor, who we have established as maybe even smarter than we thought she was, doesn't realize that it's Kara.
Well,
I know we have to let that go. But it bothered me.
Well, we have to let that go, but also I have a prediction that she already knows.
Yeah.
I have a prediction that she already knows. Yes, we're going to talk about Sam's performance in this episode. The actress at one point screamed, like you talked about, screaming nothing. She screamed, and I wrote this down. She goes, "My daughter's name! My daughter's name! My daughter's name!" And I was like, what? Are we watching Manos, the Hands of Fate? What the hell am I watching? How did this get shot?
And there's a couple times where she's just yelling Ruby. To me, it's bad on every level. It's bad. It's poorly directed. It's bad from a performance standpoint, and it's bad from a writing standpoint. And I was truly watching it. I was like, were you just trying to fill space?
Yeah.
Was your script maybe 5 or 6 pages short?
Yeah.
Because it's silly, and you could have. I think the actress who plays Julia is quite good, and she was there the whole time and underserved. And I think that considering what happens to her at the end of this episode, this would have been a great moment to let that actress act.
So, Ashley, let me ask you. Supergirl's a pretty smart lady, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Then why would she ask Guardian to look for the kryptonite instead of the secret police organization that specifically deals with looking for alien items?
Or why wouldn't she ask Wynn to just hack it?
That just makes more sense to me, right? What else did you not like from this episode?
I took a lot of issues with Mon-El. Mon-El has this completely BS scene because I think we needed more for Jean to do, where he's like, I can't help Kara.
Oh, I can't hold her.
I can't hold her. And all right, Mon-El, I hated you before. You're officially a dirtbag. You're stringing along 2 women, one of whom you are married to. You don't respect.
Well, their marriage is not real. They've already revealed that.
Whatever.
It's kind of like a.
But he calls her his wife.
Sure.
And you don't respect either of them enough to take a step away from your interactions and think about what you should do. He should end his relationship with Imra since he apparently can't get over Kara because he's stringing Kara along, which she addressed a couple episodes ago and we've done nothing to resolve.
Yeah, the Cape Tricks episode. Your favorite.
And then Imra actually has maybe her best scene where...
Oh, which one?
Even though it starts with, hey yourself. That's a bullshit line that nobody ever says.
Oh, to Mon-El.
But she is so happy and she's giving him a lot in that scene because they won this victory and
he's just staring at a wall.
He gives her nothing, but again, he continues to lead her on and he hugs her and he says it's going to be okay. Like, to me, like, Mon-El's just an F curse word boy. Like, he's I thought he was benched, which is fine in this episode, but also he cemented himself for me as just like a bad person, and we were supposed to have moved past him, and that really grated on me this whole episode.
Well, let's move for the rest of the bads really quickly here. There's a ghost wraith Kryptonian demon. We couldn't write a real villain for this episode.
They look like Buffy vampires.
Their Supergirl rain fight in this episode was very slow, and it was like, and we've already seen a badass version of this fight at the mid-season break, and this came nowhere even close to that version, so why even do it? Also, lastly, Pestilence and Blight went down so easy even though we spent 6 episodes looking for them. So what was the point of 3 world killers besides wasting our time?
And budget, frankly.
And
From
budget,
a production standpoint,
right?
like why? Also, I took a lot of issues with this. I thought the fight was generally bad.
Yeah, on every person's fight.
We've seen Supergirl take down Superman.
Yeah.
Epically.
And that was badass.
Where is that? If you could give me that against Rain, maybe I would be more invested about Rain. I know it was something that they didn't explain about the eclipse, but I think it affected the fight negatively.
It did.
And the episode kind of ends on a thunk.
Yes. There's also a final scene between James and Lena, and James goes, "I'm Guardian," and I'm going to give a bad to the writers for not having, this was a joke that you did, but I think it's so funny for not having, so James goes, "I'm Guardian," and I really wanted Lena to go, "Who?"
Who knows who Guardian is?
Like the Star-Lord who?
He was active for like a month and a half.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, all right. Let's move straight into the rating based on a scale of 1 to 5. Ashley, what do you give this episode?
I think this episode in the reflection of Supergirl season 3 is actually pretty good.
It's not saying much.
I think in the DC TV archives it's still like middling. But compared to some of the other nonsense we've seen, there were some good scenes and some great moments. I'm gonna give it a 4 because it was such a relief.
You are very generous.
It was such a relief to just not hate the whole episode. How about you?
This is a bottle episode where characters spend time in a dream thing that we've never heard about just because. And I think that's always a cliche and terrible trope that I hate television, that I hate dream dimensions. By the way, we've already done that this season. If you remember when Supergirl was trapped in her brain dimension after Rain's fight.
We also
Brainiac
did the Black Mercy in season 1, which was great.
So, like, how many more dream dimensions can there be out there?
At least 5.
Because I hate that shot where we cut to the shot and the characters are just, and you see the other character be like, are they going to make it out? Boring as hell. And again, this Rain Supergirl fight was pathetic. I thought it was so bad, and I don't know what they're doing. Rain is...
I don't think anyone who works on the show knows what they're doing.
Rain is Supergirl's Savitar. A good idea and concept. When you hear that idea, you're like, that's a good idea. But in execution has been god-awful. I'm giving this episode a 3.
There you go.
It's not terrible, but I will never watch this episode again. And I don't know if I'm ever going to watch all of Supergirl Season 3 again. So, yeah, there you go. So go down in the comments, tell us what you thought about this episode. While you're down there, click subscribe.
And for more exclusive geeky content, check out patreon.com/Jawiin. Come be Supergirl and join us in the Hall of Justice.
Thanks for suffering Supergirl with us. We'll see you for the next review.